Babe, you told me that when we got a house, you were going to take care of the lawn and be responsible and be a manly man, and you're sitting over there hiring people to do it. Well, you're sitting here in the AC eating Chick-fil-A.
It's $45 for 2 weeks.
That's not the point. The point is you told me that you would be a man and run your own lawnmower.
Yeah,
what happened to that?
That was before I met Fernando.
Deshaun.
That's before I met Fernando. And he does a great job. Front, side, back, backyard for $45.
That's not the point. Where is your manhood?
Right out there. My boy Fernando, man. And he got a team too. It's not just him. Like, he got a whole team. Like, he convinced me, bro. And he was like, yeah, $45. I was like,
You're not a man.
I am a man.
No, you're not. You're a boy.
I'm man enough to
You're
let
a boy
someone else
who's
go
never.
out.
You're a boy
I'm
who's
man
never
enough.
touched a lawnmower. So sad.
I have touched the
So sad.
She asks, where is your manhood? And I'm asking the same question. Not because he hires someone to mow his lawn. Him and Fernando are tight. I love that. They're buddies. I support that. I ask, where is his manhood? Because what is he doing in a relationship with a woman like this? Clearly, she does not respect him. Hear the contempt in her voice, the insults. And make no mistake, the reason why she does not respect him has nothing to do with the fact that he's not mowing the lawn himself, and everything to do with the fact that he tolerates this behavior from her. You see it in movies and sitcoms all the time, but when exactly did it become the social norm that it became acceptable for women to just lay into their husbands like this? And when did it become outrageous and taboo for men to say common sense things to their partner, like, you need to respect me as the man of the house? In this society, at this point in time, a comment like that is interpreted by most women as patriarchal abuse. Respecting men is sexism against women. One of the absolute worst things about feminism is that it caused women to hyper-focus on themselves as individuals, who they are as women, having an identity separate from a man. So that even when these women get into relationships, they get married, they have families, they're still thinking it's all about them. They're like that one annoying player on a sports team who always tries to shoot goals themselves and never passes the ball because they want all the glory. What happened to teamwork? What happened to being in a partnership? I cannot undersell how big of a difference there is between, he is my man, I love him, I support him, I want him to achieve great things, I view us as a team. What is good for him is what's good for me, versus I am a woman and I want what's best for me. I deserve the best, and your job as a man is to treat me like a queen. These modern women, they look at men not as a partner to team up with, but as an enemy to be conquered and a resource to be exploited. And guess what? It worked! Men were conquered. Masculinity in men is at an all-time low. When you look around this culture, what you are seeing is that men, as a collective, have been vanquished. We lost. Women won, at least in the short term. In the long term, of course, everybody lost. Right now, men are out of touch with their own masculinity. They are ashamed of what they've been taught to believe is an innate male privilege. They hate themselves for being men. They have been culturally conditioned to never complain, never share their feelings, and never speak up when they're being victimized, exploited, or abused. Their job as men is to shut up and provide, to treat women as queens and make sure they never suffer. And in the short term, this is what women wanted. Observe.
I got a question. Yeah? Okay, listen. Rich or handsome?
Rich.
Rich or tall?
Rich.
Rich or smart? Let me finish.
Rich.
Let me finish. Rich or famous?
Rich.
So why are you with me then?
Because I'm stupid. Because I fell in love.
This is going to get pretty dark for the rest of the video, but I do want you to understand this. Taken to the most cynical bottom line possible, every human being wants as much as possible for doing as little as possible. Women want money but they don't want to work for it. And so women started scheming what is the easiest way to get money without having to expend much effort. And they noticed, hey, those men over there, they've got money. Instead of earning our own, let's just get some of theirs. Only the men didn't want to share. They had too much self-confidence, too much self-esteem, and they were unable to be manipulated. And so the women thought, we need to get to work at eroding their self-confidence. A man who is confident, who has inner peace and self-esteem, it's hard to take his money, but the man who hates himself, who is terrified that not sharing his money is financial abuse, that not paying for all the dates and all of her lifestyle choices is sexist and toxic patriarchy, it's much easier to get things from that man. If he has no confidence, no self-esteem, if he's been brainwashed since he was a child that it's his duty to never complain, to never show emotion, to just serve women, then he is easy to manipulate. And let me spell this out for you in case you haven't connected the dots yet, but that is exactly what has happened over the last 5 decades. There has been a concerted push to make men feel worse and worse about themselves. You don't mow the lawn yourself, you hired some guy called Fernando to do it, you're not a real man. This is not a random accident of words, there is an agenda that is playing out. They want to reduce men's self-esteem, get them to the point where their self-esteem is so low, they feel so bad about themselves that when a woman comes along and starts claiming his things, he doesn't even put up a fight because he no longer believes himself to be worthy of defending. It is so much easier to rob a man who does not believe that he's entitled to his own things. Now, I'm not saying every woman does this. Shout out to you high quality women who build up and support your husbands. But all those women who never sacrifice for their man, who view marriage as exclusively the man's job to sacrifice for her, I'm talking about you. Every insult, every complaint, every act of disrespect, all designed to undermine his self-worth. With the ultimate goal, of course, making it easier for her to extract things from him, to make him so weak that he can't even mount a defense. He doesn't feel worthy. And in the short term, it works. But in the long term, the results are disastrous.
How old are you, ladies?
I'm 27.
36?
Has dating gone easier for you or harder?
Harder.
Definitely harder. The pool is getting smaller, my standards are getting higher, so I don't know what to say. I don't know. There's a lot of men out there, but just not what you're looking for sometimes.
Did you think you had a better shot at getting into a relationship when you were younger?
Yes. I'm an old lady.
You understand, this hasn't happened before. We are in new territory. We're the first civilization like this with this massive epidemic of single childless women over 30. You've never before in human history had so many women proudly saying they want to never have children. And why don't they want to settle down and get married? Well, you ask them and they'll tell you it's because no men out there are good enough.
If you're a girl and you're beautiful, smart, hardworking, and driven, you are most likely single right now. I honestly just think the options are so limited because hear me out. So like as a girl, you want to find a partner that exceeds you in every single area. So like you want someone that looks better than you, is smarter than you, is more hardworking, has better like social characteristics. Like you look for a partner that has like better qualities than you, or at least like meets you. And not to be an absolute bitch of a person, but it's like when you're a girl that has all of her shit together, looks good, is hardworking, makes a lot of money, it's like, where do you go from there? There's so limited options.
Okay, let's just accept what she's saying at face value. There are no good men out there. There are no good options. But if that was true, if that was the case, then really, what right do you have to complain? Like, what did you expect? Women have spent decades shitting on men, shaming them, blaming them for everything wrong in society. If you're constantly telling men to feel guilty about the fact that they are men, in the short term, yes, you've made them easy to manipulate, but in the long term, you've made them boring. You've turned them into scared little creatures, too weak and pathetic to actually generate any sincere attraction from you. But women, if you don't like this, you should have spent the last 5 decades building men up. If you wanted there to be a huge pool of impressive, confident, masculine men to choose from, then the culture should have been celebrating masculinity, supporting men, glorifying their achievements, building them up, boosting their self-esteem. That way, you'd end up with this huge pool of amazing, high self-esteem guys to choose from. Imagine a fisherman who finds the big fish in the lake are too difficult to catch, so he spends years dumping growth suppressant hormone into the water. And now he finds the fish easy to catch, but they're so small and piddly that there's really no sport in it. They can't even satisfy for a good meal. Or imagine a woman who's finding that the video game is too difficult for her, so she keeps turning down the settings to easier and easier. And now she can win without any effort, but the game is boring. It's not satisfying. This is what has happened in our culture. Congratulations, women. You have successfully shamed men to the point where they have no self-esteem. And you now have a society of men who are easily exploited. Orbity, simpy, friend-zoned, pathetic, feminine men. And they'll give you whatever you want, but they don't have anything that you want because you're not attracted to pathetic men like that. And now nobody's getting married, the fertility rate is dropping, and men and women hate each other. Bravo. Instead of watering the apple tree and nurturing it so it could feed you for generations, you ripped all the fruit off, then poisoned the soil, and now have the audacity to complain that none of the fruit that it grows is appetizing to you. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. In order to fix this, women, you have to stop looking at men as tools that you can exploit to achieve short-term goals. Look at a man not as an apple tree that you can just quickly rip all the fruit off, but instead as an apple seed, and it will be your job in partnership with that seed to provide soil, water, sunshine. Because I'm not just talking about money, I'm talking about emotional security too. In the short term, there are so many women out there who abuse their men, guilt and shame to achieve short-term emotional support, but ultimately it completely destroys the relationship. Women, the responsibility is on you here. You need to stop thinking so short term and think about the long term. And that's what I'm going to spend the rest of this video talking about, how women individually and as a group in our culture can change the way that they think about men to end this pattern of exploitation that leaves everybody miserable and actually engage in a self-replicating pattern of mutual partnership that can sustain everybody for a long time. There's a specific psychological fear that women have about men that's preventing them from doing that, and I want to attack that. Completely deconstruct it and demystify this process for women. If you want to keep watching this video, come on over to Patreon. What I post here on YouTube, these are just the shortened, abridged versions of my videos. I go into a lot more depth and nuance on Patreon. If you like my videos and you want to hear more, you'll find my Patreon really good value. It's affordable. The back catalog has hundreds of videos. Come join me on Patreon.